Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I apologize for a couple minutes delay. We had some technical issues, but that is life, and we had a backup plan, so we're still here. So you could say we were emergently prepared for technological issues, and we're getting through it. So thank you, everyone, for watching this, whether it is live or recorded. And today is a special monthly webinar because it's back to school time. And because of that, we have a guest speaker today, and his name is Jerry, and he actually works with Fairfax County Public Schools. Do you want to introduce yourself, Jerry?
Hi, everyone. I'm Jerry Nunez. I'm with the Fairfax County Public Schools. I'm with the Office of Safety and Security. I'm an emergency management coordinator there. I have worked throughout the schools, conducting training and tabletop exercises for all the teachers and students at the school. So I'm very excited to be here and be part of the show and give you guys information that you might need that's going to be crucial and important for you returning back to school.
And we're happy to have you, Jerry. So
All right.
I'm going to do my little module, and then we'll get right into the question and answer for your portion. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
Awesome. So again, welcome everyone. And this is August, which means we are in the youth preparedness section of our emergency preparedness actions calendar. Now, I have to say, next month is National Preparedness Month, and that is a big deal, which means there's going to be a ton of events throughout Fairfax County, and there's going to be a lot of awesome opportunities to learn about different types of preparedness next month. So I know it's the beginning of August, and that's we have a ways to go, but I'm already excited for September, and I completely admit that. But, kids are itching to get back to school, so that's what we're here to talk about. The goal of this is to make Fairfax County residents feel ready, to feel prepared to respond and recover from emergencies, and to make them feel resilient to all types of threats and hazards that can affect our area. And as I stated before, we're going to do this in a couple portions. We just went through our welcome and intro. I'm going to go over some youth preparedness information, and then we're going to do a question and answer with Jerry about school preparedness, since we're lucky enough to have someone that works for schools with us tonight. So we want to hear his thoughts straight from him. So let's get right into youth preparedness. Being prepared for disasters starts at home. So no one likes to talk about emergencies. You always want to think, it can't happen to me. It can happen to someone else, but it will never happen to me or my family. And unfortunately, we can't. That's never guaranteed in life. So it's important to talk about emergency preparedness in the home, and it is something that can be talked about with young children. There are ways to make it fun and interactive and more informative than scary. And I love this image because it also has a cat and a dog, because let's face it, if you have pets, pets are family, so they're important to include in their own family emergency plans. I personally have 2 cats, and I can tell you that they are definitely in my emergency plan because I like them a lot more than I like some people. Kidding, of course, but you completely get where I'm going with that. So this is how we like to break down youth preparedness to make it easy to follow, because I can understand that it can be kind of overwhelming to talk to your kids about something that's scary in a way that doesn't scare them, or in a way that you think you're doing more good than harm. So we like to break it down by saying, okay, let's have a family meeting. And that doesn't have to be done in a frightful way. It doesn't have to be, a stern talking at the kitchen table. You can have your family meeting over pizza or whatever your family's favorite food is, whether that might be a pizza night or a Chipotle night, whatever suits your fancy. And then you can talk over food about what it means to be prepared for emergencies and where we would go in times of emergency. For example, let's say there's a fire. Whose house are we going to meet up at? Are we meeting up at the house 2 mailboxes down to the left or 2 mailboxes down to the right? These are the things you're going to want to talk about with your family over some delicious food to just make it a little less scary. Practice. A plan is only useful if you know it. If you don't know it, then it's just a paperweight. And we can make practicing for kids fun too. One of my favorite ways to do that actually is if you have more than one child, you can make them race to see who can get through a different emergency route faster. So let's say your safety meetup spot is 2 mailboxes down. And let's say you have a front door and a back door. The children can race from the same point to see who will go through the front door, who will go through the back door to get to the mailbox first. So then you get hands-on experience, which makes it easier for children to remember in times of panic. And it makes it fun and less scary. And competitive means that they'll really try and they'll really get into it. And then packing your bags. And that's talking about what actual essentials are. And that's things such as, hygiene products, safety products, first aid, if you or your family members take medication, important documents. And then for our younger groups, I do like to say some sort of comfort item that does not require electricity to function. So that would be a puzzle, a book. I'm a huge fan of coloring books. I mean, they have coloring books now for all ages, including adults. And that's great because, we're never going to need technology to use our coloring book. So it's perfect. I recommend a SAMAT annual picnic with disaster kit supplies and treats. I love that. So you're in a fun area, you're in a no stress environment, and there's a ton of delicious food instead of just one. So that's a fantastic idea. And it's also a chance to get together and see your loved ones, which is, priceless. So packing your bags, it's important to talk about the essentials versus non-essentials, and then a comfort item to help children. So if you do have to evacuate, that is a scary environment. So it's really, really beneficial for children to have an item that they are used to, whether that is like a coloring book that I spoke to, or for our younger children, a stuffed animal. And then when it comes to making an emergency plan, us at the Department of Emergency Management and Security actually have ways to learn how to prepare for an emergency at all different types of age levels. Going from left to right, you see the first one is the 1 Cat 5 and Super Stormy Night. And that is our interactive activity storybook. It's a coloring book, and it's made so that you can color it with colored pencils, crayons, or markers. And it's great because it's a family going through a power outage. And the animals get scared with the people. So that's really nice because the kids can say, hey, Cat 5 and Super Stormy get scared too. It's not just us kids. And it's the family working together to use their emergency kit to get through a power outage, and how they can have safe fun by bonding over a board game and staying safe until the power does come back on. And then in the middle, we have our Kids Community Emergency Response Guide, and this is aimed at a 4th grade reading level. And one of my favorite things about it is that it supports the 4th grade Fairfax County Public Schools science project that I believe the final science project is on natural hazards. And this Prepare, Respond, and Recover breaks down the different types of hazards that affect Fairfax County in a way that's still fun and child-friendly, but has problems to solve and is more workbook style than the first one. So it really goes up in difficulty and complication of terms as the age groups go up. And then our Appendix B is actually an appendix of our Community Emergency Response Guide. And this is for the whole family. This is definitely made with adults in mind. And it breaks down developing your family preparedness plan and what that means for your family. So it is a fillable online. I will say, if you want to fill it out online, make sure you download it to your computer first. If you start filling it out online and then you close it out, that data does not get saved. So you must make sure that you do save it to your desktop or your documents folder, whichever you see fit, before you fill it out, and then save it before you exit it out. So I kind of went a little over this about calling a family meeting, but I just like to jump to the fun stuff, and I know that. So as I said, try making it fun. Try making your emergency planning in a way that is interactive, using things that your family already does. So maybe if you have like a weekly Monopoly night, you can talk about it before or after you get into Monopoly, or even during, because, it's an emergency when your hotel runs out of money. It's a different type of emergency, but it's still an emergency. And then basic actions for each likely disaster. So what your family would do in a power outage versus a flood versus a home fire. And then figure out exactly where you are going to do things for evacuation or shelter in place or a meetup area. So a shelter in place would be to make sure that you are ready to stay at home and that you are ready to stay exactly where you are. Evacuation would be you are going to need to leave the area and maybe have a meetup spot so that if you are evacuating, because it could be evacuating your home or evacuating the area. And when it comes to a large area, it's really important to have a meetup contact or person that is not within your direct vicinity. And then by using play or pretend, talking about what ifs and stories, it can make it a little less scary. Another example I like of that is it can be really beneficial for children to remember that us adults were children at one point. So you can talk about, your past or scary emergencies that you went through as a child so that your children can relate to it and think, hey, my mom or my dad was scared during this time when they were my age. So maybe it makes sense that I'm scared too. And maybe I don't have to be brave all the time. Who will we contact? It is really, really important that children know who to contact in times of emergency. And in this day and age of smartphones, sometimes that can be a little hard. Make sure your children know at least one parent phone number by heart and that they have one out-of-area contact by heart. That way, no matter what, even if a phone is down or they lose their cell phone, if they have one, of course, or if they get separated from their loved ones and they don't have a phone, they're able to still communicate and call using the numbers that they have memorized. The My Family Emergency Plan that you're seeing is a resource that we do have. And one of my favorite things about it, though, is if you have a child that maybe isn't ready to memorize phone numbers, this folds up to about the size of a credit card and a wallet. So it's really great. So you can put it in your child's backpack. So let's say your child somehow gets separated from you, but they have that in their backpack. So if someone found them, they will be able to contact you guys and get them back to you. Or if your child knows that it's in there, they can communicate it and make sure that they can get back to you. Practicing your plan. This is where your plan comes from beneficial or paperweight. It is only useful if everyone knows what to do during it. And I know this terminology on this slide is drills, but I like to see it as an interactive game to get the whole family involved. It is a drill, 100%. But it doesn't have to be talked about in a scary manner or in a manner that might make it feel more like a school assignment than something that's really beneficial to the whole family. So for example, stop, drop, and roll. You could time the siblings on how quickly they can stop, drop, and roll. For drop, cover, and hold on, you can do trivia on how many locations they can name in each room for drop, cover, and hold on. And you can make it so that people can race to the safe room, and whoever gets there first maybe gets candy or gets to pick the family movie night or maybe gets to pick the pizza topping. It could be interactive and applicable to your family to make it work for you. And if you are someone that's like, my family, my kids, they're more into technological games, ready.gov actually has 2 games just for this already. The Disaster Master game and the Build a Kit game are both free, and they're on ready.gov. And they're fantastic because one goes through what you would do in different types of emergencies, and the other one, you help children figure out exactly what they need to put in their emergency kit. And it does go through which options are correct and which options are not correct. And it can be beneficial for the children to get to learn it on their own because they can play these games by themselves. They are child friendly and they are made for children. Packing your bags. Emergency checklists are so important, and it can be really beneficial for them to be in a form that children are used to. So we do have an example of an emergency checklist that's also colorable and checkable so that children could say, hey, let's make it a race. Go into your rooms, see who can find the most of those items already in their room. Because there's chances that, children have definitely books. Maybe they have water bottles in their bedroom. They definitely have a change of clothes. And you can show your children in a fun way that there's a lot of emergency kit items that they already own. And then we like to always point out that Packing bags is a little different for babies or infants because they need a little extra care. And that just involves making sure that you have everything for that life stage, such as diaper bags, burp rags, pacifiers, or formula, if that is something your child uses, anything that your child uses on the regular. And now we're going to go into back to school preparedness, which is where Jerry is going to teach us all about it. Ready, Jerry?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay.
All
So,
right.
are you ready to do it in that question and answer format?
Sure. Question and answer. You ask the question, and I'll give it a best shot. How's that?
You're going to do great.
All right.
So let me just pull this back up. Awesome. So can you just tell us a little bit about the types of emergencies that children in Fairfax County Public Schools prepare for and go through drills for?
The types of emergencies that the kids at the schools go through, emergency drills, for so to speak, tornado drills. They do lockdown drills. They do fire evacuation drills. They have interactive type of drills where they are taught by the teachers, by the Office of Safety and Security, to take appropriate actions, right? Communicate with each other, and make sure that they follow the directions from their teachers, which are highly trained by the Office of Safety and Security. For all of these procedures that are consistently trained on and consistently practiced on a monthly schedule, and many times more often than that, depending on the amount of training that we put out for the schools. We actually, all the schools get the same type of training, so it's interoperable. A teacher in one school can go to another school 2 weeks later, and the exact same training with the exact same procedures are actually implemented. So that's a great thing for our office, to make sure that all the schools are doing the exact same thing with the same procedures. Because if a child goes from one school, and let's say he's at another school 6 months, he's going to remember, he or she's going to remember the exact same procedures on what to do in the event of an emergency.
You know, that is fantastic, especially, you know, because people do go from, you know, elementary school to secondary school to high school. So I could see that being really beneficial for the students as well.
Right, right.
Now, can you tell us a little bit about the back to school emergency cards or emergency preparedness information that you would want children to have on hand?
So for beginners, to begin on this, we encourage all the parents to make sure that they communicate with the principals of their schools and the points of contacts at the schools in order to make sure they're registered into all the systems that are there in order to identify their child in the school, by contact cards. And these contact cards have their names, their addresses, the emergency of phone numbers of the approved personnel that can come and pick them up, guardians or parents. And those types of emergency cards go in their backpacks, and they're also stored at the school in the event there's a problem, there's an issue, there's a situation in which the school needs to contact the parent or the guardian and quickly retrieve that information from their data banks and make that quick phone call to check with the parent, just to make sure, did the child come to school today? If there's an attendance mishap or an issue. But those contact cards are extremely important, and it's up to the parents to make sure they're up to date. And I always encourage parents to have a Outlook calendar, or put it on a calendar that's on their fridge. Every 90 days, take a look, circle it and say update my child's backpack emergency card, just in case a phone number changed, just in case an address changed, just in case a caregiver changed that can come and pick them up. Otherwise, if it's not updated, then we can run into some issues where the child's delayed on making sure they get home on time.
That makes complete sense. And, you know, people change phone numbers or move all the time. So I think that's fantastic that you want to ensure that everything is as up to date as possible. So, how can parents find out information during an emergency? Is there a program you recommend that they sign up for or anything of that nature?
Okay, so here, during an emergency, parents can find out more information or any information through various communication channels provided by FCPS. The primary method is the FCPS text messaging service, where parents have who have provided their cell phone numbers in that student information system at the school. They'll receive a text message for critical notifications. Also, FCPS uses other communication modes such as email, phone messages, the school website itself, backpack letters, all that to keep parents informed about emergencies, attendance, and essential communications. In the case of a division-wide emergency message that needs to go out, FCPS will broadcast it also on the FCPS website. Social media platforms also like Twitter and Facebook, and cable channel 21. So there's a slew of communication modes that we trigger out there in order for everyone to be informed as quickly as possible. Information about emergency closures can also be found on News You Choose, and that's through email notifications, and that's and the FCPS official social media accounts themselves. Now, here's the thing on that. It's important for the parents, again, to keep their contact information up to date with the schools to receive that timely and important notification during those emergencies. And parents can always reach out to their child's school principal for additional information if they encounter any issues with these communication channels or need more information on how to get information quickly.
That is awesome. And I love that there's so many avenues and options for that to make sure that, you're as thorough as possible. I think that's fantastic.
Great.
Now, on to the next one. Before we get into that, I'm a visual person. So I included an example of your text alerting just about schools opening late. It is from 2022, so it's a little old, but the same concept maintained is there. And these text messages can come out saying to parents that, schools will open late or are closed, and then where to find more details and information. On to the next question. Should parents show up at school when they receive information about an emergency?
That's a great question, because we want to make sure that everyone understands that during an emergency situation, parents should avoid showing up at the school unless specifically instructed to do so by the school or emergency response personnel. Parents showing up at the school unannounced, they could only cause additional congestion, confusion, and potential safety risks. It could interfere with the school's response efforts and emergency procedures. So parents are also asked not to call the school as well in emergency situations, so phone lines can remain accessible and they're open for handling that situation. Like I mentioned in the previous answer, parents will be informed via text and email, as well as FCPS Twitter and Facebook. If parents have concerns, again, about that type of, or need more information, they can contact the school office or the designated FCPS personnel to seek clarification and assistance. But in general, no, showing up at the school would just congest and cause more confusion. And in order to minimize that type of anxiety, just avoid doing that, and just unless you're instructed to do so, when you're instructed to do so, and pay attention to those communication channels that the school and or the central office will be reaching out to the parents to give them information that's critical for them.
So really stay informed and watch for updates, it sounds like.
That's exactly what, to stay informed by keeping an eye on making, first of all, that contact card, as long as everything is updated, they will get the notifications as fast as possible. Every school will push out the notification to the parents and inform them of what to do next. So it takes the thinking out of it, but at the same time, we want them off the road so they don't get themselves an accident or trying to get to a school that might already be congested.
We don't want an emergency within an emergency.
Right, right.
Now, moving on to emergency drills. I know we mentioned it briefly before, but could you go a little more in depth on how you prepare students for emergency drills, if there is a schedule on when certain ones happen or how often they happen?
Okay, I can see three good questions right there, so I'll try to knock them out all in sequence. So, okay, so FCPS prepares students for emergency drills through regular training and guidance provided by the school staff themselves, and particularly the Office of Safety and Security for FCPS, which has a cadre of certified instructors professionally trained for all matters of school safety and security. These drills are carefully designed, they're rehearsed, and to familiarize the students with the appropriate actions to take during different types of situations, ensuring a safe and orderly response. FCPS also offers staff members extensive training and educational programs to prepare the teachers and the students to respond appropriately and to stay calm and follow instructions during drills. All drills are part of what we call an options-based response program that equips the students and the teachers with necessary knowledge and options and skills to respond quickly and appropriately. Everyone is drilled over and over. We have an incredible program in the Office of Safety and Security. We regularly visit all the schools every year to provide training not only to the staff members, to their crisis management teams, to their emergency response teams, their security teams, and to their front office staff members. Teachers conduct drills also, by the way, in accordance with the Virginia State Code requirements. And they reinforce these procedures for physical lockdowns, securing doors, and staying calm during emergencies and allowing the process to unfold, because these teachers are highly trained and we have nothing but faith in all of what they can do for the kids to keep them safe. Also, FCPS utilizes video content to help communicate consistent training information to student and staff, and that can be found on our website.
I think it is fantastic how everything is consistent. That's so important. There's no, arguments over this way or that way between education buildings throughout the county. It sounds like you are making every effort to follow the state code, which is, it's so necessary. It's essential to keeping everyone safe. So that is awesome. And it's great knowing that everyone is getting trained, not just the teachers, but also the front staff, since they really are, the first face that usually people see when you come into a school.
They are. Thank you. That's actually a good, great observation on your behalf, Mariah, because the front office staff, they're the tip of the spear of the school. This is where everyone walks in and needs professional assistance, right? But at the same time, the front office staff is highly trained to deal with anything outside of those parameters.
That's fantastic. Now we're going to go a little into emergency plans. Does each school have their own emergency plan? And if so, how are the staff trained for their individual plans?
Good question. Each school in FCPS, all 198 schools and centers across the county are required to have its own comprehensive emergency management plan. These plans are specific to that individual school's layout, its population, and its potential risks. So no two schools are exactly the same. The plans are a base foundation, templated, good, solid plans that they fill out, but remember that no two schools are the same. So what the plans look like for us at the Office of Safety and Security when we're looking at the plans, one school's needs and concerns are different than the others. So we address those. The plans are developed in collaboration with FCPS's Office of Safety and Security, in which I'm in, and they follow established guidelines and procedures. They can't just stray off in the schools and just make up their own plans. We have solid plans that are recognized by other states recognized by other school divisions as a model plan that we put together. Very simple to execute, easy to follow, and they're extremely detailed from the school. So for parents out there that want to know if their child's school has a plan for fires, for evacuations, for lockdowns, that's all inside the plans and very specific to that school and that community.
That is so, I know I keep saying essential, but it's true. I mean, I've been in multiple elementary, middle, and high schools, and to an outsider, they always seem like a maze at first. So I think it's great that there is something written down explaining where certain things are. I'm assuming there are written down, such as like where the fire alarms are and where the exits are in every single school. Because again, I know some elementary schools are a literal square and some are more of a straight line. And that variation is huge, especially when people are, are in a sense of panic, which happens during emergencies. So that is great.
Yes, and those plans, they're accessible to our emergency response personnel at our Office of Safety and Security and to our leadership team only. If something happens where, let's say, an emergency services go to the school, EMS or fire department for let's say a small fire in the lab or maybe the smell of smoke, the responding personnel will be able to, in conjunction with the principal and their crisis management team, pull out that plan, take a where certain evacuation points are, and where consolidation areas are and where the exits are, and the responding personnel will have that template in their hands, and they'll be able to easily maneuver inside the school to get to that situation quickly and handle it.
So a good balance of the people having that need the information having it and no one that doesn't need it not having it.
That's right. Thank you.
Perfect. Now, is there security in every building? Does each school have an SRO or school resource officer? And if so, can you kind of break down what an SRO does for someone that, maybe is new to the area or their kid is about to start school or they've just, never met an SRO?
Sure. Okay, so I'll answer is there security in every building? FCPS employs various security measures to enhance school buildings. While there may not be a dedicated security officer in every building throughout the day, uniformed school security officers provide a patrol presence at elementary schools. Additionally, middle and high schools have school resource officers assigned to them from the Fairfax County Police Department. Security measures also include physical and technical security elements to prevent unauthorized access onto school grounds and enhance overall security. Does each school have a school resource officer? No. The answer is no. Elementary schools do not have dedicated school resource officers. SROs are assigned to all middle and high schools from the Fairfax County Police Department, right? The decision not to have an SRO in elementary schools is related to personnel shortages and other considerations. However, uniformed FCPS school security officers provide a patrol presence at all elementary schools to enhance that security. What does an SRO do? They are highly visible law enforcement sworn police officers, right, that are middle and high schools, and they patrol at the elementary schools. These are they play an essential role in fostering a safe and secure environment in all the middles and highs. They are law enforcement officers. They work closely with school administrators, with the Office of Safety and Security, the staff members at all the schools, the students, the principals. The SROs are very, very highly trained and very engaged with the community as well. They focus on building those positive relationships with students while also ensuring the safety and security of the building and all the schools and the community itself. They are hand selected from the police departments to be right where they need to be. These are the best that the police department has picked and put into the schools in order to engage and foster that that relationship with the kids and with the community. Their responsibilities, for anybody that's wondering, well, what do? They respond to incidents. They are, like I said, sworn law enforcement officers. They do, they address safety concerns. They provide guidance on safety measures. They have offices with a SRO inside the middle school and an office also inside of the high school. So they're present every day. Anyone driving by or going through the front doors will see their patrol car sitting out there fully marked, and they might see the SRO in the hallway, reaching out to kids, talking to administrators, and doing his job right there inside the school as instructed and as trained by the police department. They're awesome people. They're approachable. And what I just say most of the time to most of the kids, go up to them and say hi to them and find out who they are and ask them their name. These guys they're awesome, and they do great with kids.
So that is fantastic. And as a proud product of Fairfax County Public Schools, I can say that I remember the SRO in my high school. Well, I went to a secondary school, being warm and fuzzy in the way that you could go up and ask them questions, which like you were saying, it's great, so that they're there. Children know that they're there, and it's not like a taboo topic that they're there.
Right.
Now, what about if someone has a question and they're like, my child is not enrolled in Fairfax County Public Schools. So you would direct them to a different resource for that?
So if for a parent that wants to enroll their child into FCPS, is that what you're asking for, Mariah?
So we had a question in the comments saying, does the county support such plans for private schools within the county? Do you know if Fairfax County kind of has a hand in private school plans?
Well, the private schools they reach out to, a lot of times what we do at FCPS is that we recommend the private schools to reach out to the OEM, Mariah, since you guys have a capability to talk to these private schools to see what type of emergency management training that they need. But when it comes to enrollment, FCPS does not exactly interact entirely with private schools. We give them recommendations. We help them get to where they want to be. We give them the resource, but at the same time, for the question is does FCPS and private schools like Catholic schools and things of that nature, do they interact? We are more than happy to talk to them and give them the resources that they need, if that helps.
It sounds great to me, and it sounds like you're willing to communicate and talk about it and take it from there.
Absolutely. They're two educational environments. We care for all kids, and there's no difference as far as our Office of Safety and Security. If they want professional advice, they're more than happy to reach out to fcps.edu, ask for the Office of Safety and Security, and our office would be more than happy to talk to them and see what their needs are.
Now, we are at the end of our questions. So now we get to the final question. If you could have a listener take away one thing from this presentation, what do you think it would be?
The one thing I would say, taking away from the presentation, is be rest assured that our Office of Safety and Security within the Fairfax County Public Schools, a large district division like ours, as big as it is in this county with 198 schools and centers, we make the time to get to every single facility and every single school and provide training, provide resources, provide direction and guidance, and we provide the best that we possibly can. And our office has done everything possible and continues to do so by structuring our office into one of the model safety and security training / emergency management offices in the nation. We are really that good where we're very proud of what we do. and we encourage collaboration with all the other offices that are out there. Anyone that needs any help, any type of assistance, or any type of recommendation, reach out to our office. We are always looking for that relationship building with other school districts.
Well, that is powerful. Thank you for being here, Jerry, and thank you for everything that you do to keep the children of Fairfax County safe. We really do genuinely appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Now, just so our listeners remember, next month is National Preparedness Month, which means there will be a webinar next month talking about it and what National Preparedness Month is and why it exists in the first place. So if I really suggest and hope that you will tune in for next month so we can talk about the fun and importance that is National Preparedness Month. And if you have any questions or just want to reach out, this is the contact information for the Ready Fairfax, the Community Engagement Department of the Department of Emergency Management and Security. I am Mariah Kataev. I'm the Community Engagement Specialist here, representing Ready Fairfax, and thank you for tuning in and listening. Have a great night.